Thanksgiving? Just drop it in the chat and say me.
We'll start off with the pie, and we're going to go to the tarts.
Okay.
And then we'll do mashed potatoes. And then
Nobody's cooking for Thanksgiving. Okay, hold on. It's coming in. Not me. Matthew, me neither, buddy. No cooking for this girl, but I will eat. Listen, I married well, Matthew. I married a chef, and that is probably one of the best decisions I could have done. So I will be eating well. I just won't be cooking. Oh, Catherine, you're cooking. We might have to stop over. Michael, do you normally cook? Our wedding venue is doing meals, making it there. Michael, what wedding venue are you talking about? And yeah, talk to me about that, Michael. Where are you? Michael.
Are you plugged in?
Yep.
Okay.
Where's Michael?
I got the one that doesn't make a whole lot of noise.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Chef Tom, if you're ready, we'll turn it over.
I'm ready.
Stockton Enterprise. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to some and present to others, no other than Chef Tom. He is phenomenal. Today, he's going to do Thanksgiving with a twist. I don't know what the twist is, but I'm excited to see what the twist is. So please, if you haven't already, get your notepad and your pens. Get ready as he is going to demonstrate to us some recipes. I know many of you all said that you are cooking, so hopefully you can use these recipes. I do have my sidekick and my host, no other than Rachel Flegel. She'll come back at the end with some closeout announcements. Thank you all again for joining us. And Chef Tom, the floor is all yours.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Let's Get Cooking with Chef Tom. Today, I have my sidekick again with me, Chef Steve.
Hey, everybody.
So what we're going to do today is called Thanksgiving with a Twist. Now, Thanksgiving, is probably, when I was in the hotel and business, it was probably one of the more difficult meals to get ready for because of the intense amount of preparation, but it was one of the easier meals to serve. So there's always a lot of work that goes in beforehand, and that's usually by the time you get the meal ready, you're exhausted. So we're going to try to show you some tips that'll save a little bit of time for some of those type of things. And we're going to show you some different recipes that I guarantee you've never seen anywhere before. So we're going to work backwards. What does that mean? Well, I need to finish my dessert so that it's ready to show you. So what's your favorite kind of pie out there? Apple, pumpkin, sweet potato. I'm sure everybody kind of has a preference, and it's a Thanksgiving thing. Pecan, that's another one that we would do here at the restaurant. Well, today we're going to do what's called an apple sweet potato pie. It's very, very simple. Anybody can do this, trust me. I actually did this recipe years ago for a recipe competition. It didn't win, but it's a very good recipe. But it wound up in a national trade magazine called Food Management, and the recipe, and they published it. So still my recipe, but it's basically 1 can of apple pie filling. All right, 1 can of sweet potatoes cut. You drain it real well. A teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon and a half of pumpkin pie spice. And then you bake that in a 9-inch pie shell for 25 minutes just to get it started. And we're going to make a streusel on top. And the streusel is made with oatmeal, flour, brown sugar, cinnamon, and pecans. And I'm just going to mix this together real quick just to make a streusel. Doesn't take long. If your butter's soft, it comes together pretty quick. And then we're going to top our pie and put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. So blending it together, you can see it's rather easy. Now, if you had a pastry cutter, you could do that. I actually like working with my hands a little bit better because I get a better feel for it. But the idea is to get the butter and the flour and the sugar, and it should make some crunchies. And that's what's kind of give this pie, it's a apple sweet potato crunch pie. And then when we pull it out of the oven, we're going to let it cool, and we're going to serve a little bit of caramel sauce on top. I know, it sounds good, doesn't it? And I guess it's something you've never seen before because I've never shown it to anybody before. So it's one of my best kept secrets. But it's not going to be a secret for a whole lot longer because we're working on a cookbook from the Chef's Apprentice that we're expecting to be in publication early December. And this is going to be one of the recipes that's in that cookbook. So that's exciting news, isn't it, Chef Steve?
Yes, it is.
And so all the recipes that we've been doing through our cooking sessions, what we've been documenting them and sending out, but a lot of people have been asking for them. And when the restaurant was open, everybody loved a lot of the things that we did. So we decided to document our recipes and make a house cookbook. So there we go. That's really easy. So we're going to put that back in the oven for 20 minutes just to bake the streusel. All right. So what's the big thing about Thanksgiving is it's the turkey, but what's really the big thing? It's the side dishes, right? It's all the different side dishes that, are you going to have this? Are you going to have that? What's your favorite, Chef Steve?
Mashed potatoes is one of mine.
Mashed potatoes. We have a couple IT guys here. They're going green bean casserole. They're going stuffing. So we're going to do some twists on a couple of those things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do green bean casserole tarts, and it's actually an appetizer. So for those of you who like green bean casserole, this is a twisted version of green bean casserole, but we put it together in a phyllo cup, which is what one of these things is. I bought these yesterday at the Y store for $2. You get 15 in a box. They're already pre-cooked. All we got to do is mix our ingredients up and stuff the tarts, and it's that easy. And it's a great way of kind of satisfying the hungry before they start eating everything and the house bill's not ready. So Chef Steve's actually going to put some of this together, and I'm going to kind of assist him here. So go ahead, Chef Steve.
All right. So to start out, what we did was we mixed some mayonnaise. It was about 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. We mixed a teaspoon of hot sauce, seasonings of dillweed and onion powder and black pepper, a teaspoon of each of those. All right, and that's what this mix here is. That's the base of your casserole. Next, we're going to fold in. Some diced up green beans and diced up mushrooms into our mix.
And what we did here is we just used canned ones. They sell small cans. So this is really a very economic recipe to produce. But the mushroom pieces are a little bit bigger, so we kind of rough chop those to make them a little smaller. And the green beans, I kind of cut them into 1/2-inch pieces. And then Chef Steve's going to mix this up so it's blended together evenly. And then we're going to load some into each tart. And Chef Steve's going to show you how to top it.
So all we're doing is you just do a little bit of fold. You go underneath and just fold on top of each other. Each time you do it, it incorporates it a little bit more. When you get to this point where everything's all nice and incorporated,
okay, that looks good.
all right. Just going to use a spoon. Now, you don't want to overstuff them. When you fill them, just want to do a little bit in each one.
And this recipe for the filling probably could make enough for 2 boxes of these tarts because there isn't a lot of space in the tart. So while Chef Steve's doing that, I'm going to actually start another side dish recipe just because it takes a little bit of time.
Now, Chef Tom, while he's preparing that, what is your favorite thing to cook for Thanksgiving?
Stuffing.
Okay.
It didn't take me long. Because, well, we're going to talk about stuffing because everybody thinks it's a complicated issue, and there's a couple secrets to it. But yeah, stuffing, and I do both versions. I do the cavity stuffing, and then I do the side dish of stuffing. So I make enough to bake it in the oven separately because some people like it crunchy, and some people like it soft. And without a doubt, the cavity stuffing tastes better, but the baked stuffing has a better texture. So, but yeah, stuffing is absolutely would be what it is.
So for those who are not familiar with cavity stuffing, can you elaborate a little more on that?
So cavity stuffing is when you actually take the cavity of your raw turkey and then you wash it out and you season it, and then you take your stuffing and you stuff it in the morning before you cook it. I want to emphasize that. It used to be years ago, people would make the stuffing and then they would stuff the turkey warm overnight, and that's how people got sick. So your stuffing, you want to stuff the morning of, truss it shut, and then bake it.
Yeah, that was another question. That is it safe to do cavity stuffing?
Yes, it is. You just have to cook it to the final temperature. So when I do my cavity stuffing, like my basic stuffing, I don't put egg in. If I'm going to bake it separately as a side dish, I add egg, and I add egg in the morning after it's cool. So, and then cavity stuffing is safe as long as you rinse out your cavity, season it, and then you stuff it, and you make sure that your internal temperature is 165. So, all right, Chef, looks like we're good. Chef Steve's going to garnish this.
Yep.
And while he does that, I'm going to get started on cranberry sauce. So, how many people out there like the jellied stuff? You know what? I like the jellied stuff. It's good. But my mom used to make what she called relish. And she made it with fresh cranberries.
Orange juice?
And, pardon me? So they sell cranberries all the time in the grocery store, and this is actually 4 cups. So I'm actually doing kind of a twisted version of my mom's recipe, and I know she would approve. But I took 12 ounces of orange juice, because cranberry and orange go together great. Like orange cranberry muffins, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm going to add my cranberries, and I'm going to cook them. And once they pop, they're cooked. Now, cranberries, they usually sell most of the time during this time of year. But the great thing about them is they freeze really well. So if they have a special, and you want to do something for Christmas, whatever, pop them in the freezer, and they don't spoil. And you know, cranberries are very tart, and they're very, very tart. So you have to add a lot of sugar to this. So while my orange juice is coming to a boil, I want to talk a little bit about some of the components. So I have here some toasted pecans. So if you toast your pecan pieces in the oven, just for 4 to 5 minutes, just in a dry oven, it brings out some of the oils in the nuts, and it makes it taste a little bit better. And then normally in my cranberry relish, I put mandarin oranges and pineapple tidbits, and I just drain them and I add them all together, and then I let it sit overnight. But I wanted to do something different because it is Twisted Thanksgiving, right? I mean, that is what it is. So what I did was I took pineapple tidbits and pears. I diced some pear halves, and I roasted them in the oven to get that caramelized flavor, okay? Because I don't know about you, but caramelized pineapple, like on a grill or in the oven, is delicious. And that's kind of what we're going to get, that kind of look. And then and it looks like it's a little crispy, but it really isn't, because once it starts to blend with our cranberry relish, our juice, it's going to soften up. So we're going to let that cook. We're going to bring that to a boil. Chef Steve, how are we doing?
Doing good.
Okay, so Chef Steve's going to fire those in the oven 7 to 9 minutes. You got to remember, everything's pretty much cooked, so it doesn't take long for that dish to do. So that's a quick and easy appetizer. So I'm going to transfer my roasted fruit to my bowl. And this is also a recipe that's going to be in the cookbook. Notice how we're promoting the cookbook. And as soon as this comes to a boil and they pop, I'm going to add some sugar. And you want to do it while it's hot because you kind of want it to be almost like real syrupy. So we're going to bring that up. It's starting to come together. I can add my pecans to this bowl. And we'll let that come together.
We have a question from someone says, how do we get the cookbook again? Were you talking about the recipes that he's doing today? The recipes
me?
that you're doing today, Chef Tom, we would just email you, correct, to get those?
Yes, the ones we're doing today, you can send out an email, but they will be in the cookbook that we expect to be ready for publication by early December. You're going to be able to buy it through the bookstore website.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. We're excited about it. Yeah, because it's kind of helped giving us an identity again. Our shows are good for that, but we've been working while we've been off, so it took a pandemic for us to be able to actually take the time to write a cookbook. So I'm excited about it. I think it's great.
Okay, well, Matthew wants an autographed copy. And
Matthew wants an autographed copy. Is that Matthew from the bookstore in York?
I believe it is.
I will send him one.
Yes, it is.
For a small fee.
And Rebecca,
So, okay,
what was the topping on the green bean tarts?
So the topping on the green bean part is once Chef Steve had the filling put into the casserole, it's just a tiny bit of cheddar cheese. And then what's green bean casserole? It's the French fried onions. So that's kind of what these are. Now, I didn't buy the name brand. They sell these in the grocery store. You know what? They're just as good. There's nothing wrong with them. Just a little less expensive, supports the grocery store vendor. So, all right, our stuff is starting to come to a boil. So next thing we're going to work on is mashed potatoes. So Chef Steve is going to start prepping the mashed potatoes to get them ready. So we're going to talk a little bit about mashed potatoes real quick. The potato you mash is the potato that you choose to mash. So if you like Yukon Gold, they're nice and yellow and creamy. That's what you can mash. If you prefer a cooking potato or a russet potato, you can do that. You can do them skin on or you can do them skin off. It's up to you. So we chose Redskins today. I like Redskins for mashing. I think the skin is very thin, so it's edible. We left the skin on. I'm starting to come to a boil here. We're starting to pop. That's how we know we're ready. And cook them in some salted water. That's important because you want to season it. And then we're going to add a couple different ingredients. And we're actually going to put our mashed potatoes in the casserole and we're going to put a topping on it. So Chef Steve and I are going to collaborate together on this. Okay, my cranberries are popped. Once it comes to a full boil, it's ready. Sugar, 1 cup of sugar. Going to mix it in there. All right, and that kind of gets syrupy. And if you like it a little sweeter, you can add a little more sugar. It's up to you. It's best to do this when it's boiling because the sugar dissolves right away. All right, and then we're going to ladle this. We're going to put this over top of our ingredients here. I don't know if I want all the juice, so I'm going to make that decision as I put this together. My mom, when she was making this, she didn't do it exactly this way, but kind of the same way. But as time wore on, I knew that was going to happen. I just got shot with cranberry juice. As time wore on, she started to use strawberry jello instead of sugar, and it gave it a whole different flavor. All right. Hope my Tide sticks here. All right, so we're going to mix that up and pull that together. And you see how it comes up very nice. And as that cools down, that'll all blend together. That's a great side dish for turkey. Every kind of turkey you're going to do, we're going to show you what kind of turkey we're doing today. But we're going to let that cool. And I'm just going to put a little bit in a display dish so that we know what it looks like. We know what we're talking about. Looks really good. And all those little crunchies from the roasted vegetables kind of softened up, and there we go. All right, dish number 1 done. Okay, so as Chef Steve is starting to get ready to mash the potatoes, I'm going to work on our topping for that.
Chef Tom, while you guys are getting ready, I can tell you that you have probably sold almost half of your books already in the chat. So you might need to do another batch order and you can get the first
Awesome.
one. Absolutely. People.
I hope people from the bookstore are paying attention to that. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to make a crumb topping for the mashed potatoes, and we're going to actually bake them in a casserole dish. Not going to take that long. So as soon as Chef Steve, when he gets them ready, I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to melt a little bit of whole butter in my pan. If you want to start making potatoes,
Sure
Chef?
can.
Yep. We're going to tag team on this recipe. So this is some whole butter. And then what I have here are Ritz crackers. So they don't sell Ritz cracker crumbs. So you have to kind of make them. And if you don't have a food processor, this is the best way to make the crumbs. Is put them in a bag and kind of do a rolling pin thing. How's our tart, Chef?
Almost done.
Okay. I'm gonna say that pie is probably pretty close. to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're kind of melting this here and round it up. And I'm gonna take my crumbs, and I know Ritz is a buttery cracker, but I want to saute my crumbs. All right, because I want to try to get a butter topping for my mashed potatoes. All right, so I add my crumbs. That was about 3 packs of the single serving type Ritz crackers mixed up. All right, I'm going to cut my heat back just so I can get it mixed up first. All right, so the idea here is to make like a buttery type topping for our mashed potatoes. So Chef Steve's mashed potatoes are going to be a little different today. What's going to be different about them, Chef?
So we were doing red skin potatoes today instead of our normal russet potatoes we do. Also, instead of just doing half and half in butter like we do, we're doing a little twist today. What we're doing is we're going to mix the half and half in butter and throw in a little bit of buttermilk today.
So buttermilk gives it a different flavor. And what are we going to do folding it at the end?
We're going to be folding in some sour cream.
All right, sour cream. So this is not a low-calorie recipe, folks, but mashed potatoes, it's Thanksgiving. It's the day to be thankful. So he's going to put that together. So think, buttermilk, sour cream, what goes good with that? How about some ranch seasoning? So we're going to put a little bit of ranch seasoning in our breadcrumbs here. All right, and a little bit of Parm cheese to go on top. I know, it sounds good already, doesn't it? And that's what's going to, so after Chef Steve gets the potatoes ready, we're going to fire them in a casserole dish. We're going to put some of this on top just to brown it. And what's nice about doing it this way is it always seems to be, it never fails, mashed potatoes and gravy are the last thing you have to do for the meal, right? And everybody's stressed because the potatoes get cold. So one trick for that, and I don't know if you noticed this, when Chef Steve is going to add his butter and cream, he heated it up. All right. A lot of people put the whole butter stick in there into the hot potatoes. What does that do? It drops down the temperature of the potatoes. It does melt the butter, but it lowers the temperature of the potatoes. Then a lot of times they're adding milk out of the refrigerator, and that makes them cold too. So heat that up. That keeps it hot. But you can make it ahead this way. Put it in the casserole dish. have your crumb topping ready, fire it in the oven, and we're good to go. This smells really good. So as soon as Chef Steve has the potatoes ready, all right, I'm gonna put it all in there because I think we need it all. So who doesn't like ranch and buttermilk together? So it's kind of a twist on ranch salad dressing.
It's me.
All right. So Chef, ready? Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Time to go. Oh, nice.
I got your casserole dish ready.
Mind pulling the tarts out of the
Yep.
oven.
All right, looking good. Our pie's ready too. So while Chef Steve's doing that, I'm going to tray up our tarts. All right, they look good. That's a perfect recipe for that dish.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there we go. Green bean casserole tarts. Great little appetizer. So Chef Steve has our potatoes, and notice how nice and creamy they are. Okay, they're not lumpy. He does a nice job. Chef Steve does a nice job. We do when we make mashed potatoes here at the restaurant. We use fresh potatoes. So I'm going to just use my gloved hand just to kind of crumb the topping here, because it's easier for me to control it that way.
I did pull out that turkey.
Hmm?
That turkey, I pulled that out.
I saw it. All right, so we don't want to cover the whole thing because we want to see some potatoes too. All right, Chef Steve's going to fire that in the oven till they brown, which isn't going to take long.
Said about 5 minutes.
I'm thinking 350 degrees. It's actually a 375 degree oven. I'm thinking 8 to 10.
Sounds good.
All right, so, well, we did 2 side dishes already. Our next one is obviously stuffing or filling. It depends on what is the preference term. Is it stuffing or is it filling? So I think it's called filling because they use it to fill things, but it's actually could be stuffing too. So it's whatever you prefer to call it. But we're going to show you how to get started. It's not a complicated process. Doesn't take long. Got it. Yep. So, Chef Steve, what kind of bread do you have today?
So I have some brioche bread and some sourdough bread that I cut up.
So here's the thing about stuffing. It's important that you choose the kind of bread you like. So if you choose the normal white bread that they sell at the grocery store, it's called the Pullman loaves, and you use that to chop it up. It's better if the bread is dried out. So what did you do to get your bread dried out?
So what I did is, or a baking pan, and I sprayed Pam spray on top of it. And then I roasted it at 225 in the oven for about 20 minutes.
Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're drying it out.
Yep.
Okay, so we dry out our cubes. Now, could I do that like this week for next week?
Yes.
Absolutely, because you're removing the moisture from the cubes. So what makes bread mold? It's usually And then what we're going to do, you roast these bones off and you get a flavor from it. Okay. And that's how you get a good turkey stock. So chef, I'm bringing us to a boil here.
Mhm.
We're going to add this. This is 1 quart of stock. And then we have poultry seasoning and white pepper. We're going to bring that to a boil. So when that comes to a boil, you're pretty much ready to add it to your cubes. Now, you don't add it all at once because you don't know if you add it, if you just, oh, I'm going to dump it in, you might have more than you need. And then you have a wet stuffing. You don't want to have a wet stuffing. So one of the real important things about stuffing is fresh parsley. So I'm going to actually show you a technique that it's kind of a dying art technique, but it is what it is, where you actually use 2 knives at one time to chop your herbs. So I'm going to pull my parsley stems off of here. All right. Now you could use the dried parsley leaves. If you don't want to do this, it's fine. You don't have to. It just gives you a little bit more of an original flavor. Okay. Now I wash this ahead of time because if you don't, parsley is usually grown in like real fine, almost like black coal dirt. And it's, so you have to wash it. It's just what it is. Don't ever assume anything comes from the grocery store clean. So fresh parsley. So while that's coming together, all right, and once that comes to a boil, we're ready. So the key is to have 2 knives the exact same size, okay? And you hold them in your hand and you put your finger across the top. Okay? And it goes a lot quicker to do it that way. Like I said, it's a technique that a lot of times isn't taught, but it's a time saver. And you see how quickly that came together. All right. We still didn't even get our stock to come to a boil. That's how fast that is. So this is almost ready. So Chef Steve, what's your favorite? Cavity stuffing or fake stuffing?
I like a little bit of both.
So do I.
Yeah.
I know. So here's the thing about stuffing, and this isn't a twisted recipe, but I felt it important to show it today because a lot of people go, I don't know how to make stuffing. It's not that hard. So you can add a lot of things to your stuffing. If you want your stuffing to be vegan, you use vegetable stock. You don't have to use turkey stock. It just adds that turkey flavor. If you like sausage in your stuffing, a lot of people like sausage in your stuffing. There's such a thing as oyster stuffing or such a thing as mushroom stuffing. But you can make it your own twist of what you want to do. But this is the basic recipe for stuffing. All right, we're almost there. And what this will do is give you a start. And from here, you twist it any way you want to go. So if you like cornbread stuffing, you need to make cornbread and kind of cube it up and let it dry out. All right. Or you can do this stuff. It's up to you. Okay. But you don't have to. If you go through the grocery stores, it's everywhere. All right. So it looks like we're done. All right. So Chef Steve's going to put that in there. He's not going to add it all one time. He's going to add enough so that he thinks that he's got it right. You might add, just save a little bit towards the end. And if you have some of this stuffing stock left over, it's not the end of the world. You can strain it and put it in your stock for your gravy. But the key is you don't want it wet, okay? Wet stuffing changes the composition of the bread. Doesn't have that cube look anymore. It looks like mush. So, okay, I think you might need
Just a little bit more.
So it takes 2 of us to make stuffing. Who knew?
Should be good.
Okay. All righty. So I'm going to add some of this parsley to it, fresh parsley. It does make a
It
huge
makes a-
difference
Makes a big difference.
Yep. because you can smell it. Remember, herbs are an aromatic. All right, just for display purposes, Chef,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you if you can plate some of that up
Sure
on
can.
our oval. I'll get you a spoon
Mm-hmm.
so our fans can see what it looks like.
Absolutely.
All righty. I think I smell potatoes. Oh, man. There we go.
Chef, I had a private question. Someone wants to know, how do they become a taste tester?
How would they become a taste tester? That's a great question. Well, you need to work in IT. Because, I need to remember Pete and Chris from IT are here filming for us today. And they actually brought 2 cameras because, we try to improve each time. And a lot of people were saying they couldn't see what the food looked like. So actually, he says 3 cameras. So 3 next time. Okay, so that's our stuffing. So you can take a look at that. That looks good. Okay, make that, let it set up overnight. Spatula, chef. And this is our mashed potato casserole spatula, which also came out really nice.
Chef Tom, it looks like there's a question. Someone asked celery and onion. Is that what you used?
Yes, we use celery and onion. And you can, if you don't like celery and you just want to use onion, you can do that. It's up to you. That's hot. So real simple, not a hard thing to do. So, or if you just like celery, but you do need some type of vegetables to kind of give your stock some flavor. So we're down to, we have the sides done. Our dessert's out of the oven cooling. We have an appetizer done. So let's talk turkey. I'm going to show you what we did for our turkey today.
Oh, and it looks like there was a question as far as for the stuffing. Jenny, did you mean to use celery and onion in the stuffing?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, no, you're fine. Someone wondered, did you use celery and onion in the stuffing?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. So turkey. So what I did, I'm going to show you here how we got from A to B is I had a 10 to 12 pound butterball turkey, which is a small bird. Okay, that's not a very big turkey. And I did that because a lot of people, especially if we're not going to have a whole lot of big group family gatherings this year. I picked a smaller bird because I figured that might be what a lot of people are doing. 10 to 12 pound bird, and I took the skin, I thawed it out. So you need to thaw out under refrigeration. I bought it on a Sunday. I brought it to work today on a Thursday. It was just about thawed out, and I broke it down. So that was how I was able to get the carcass. And I took the breast off the bone. And you say, yeah, that's really complicated. It actually isn't. Once you take the skin off, it's just like filleting a fish. So I took the breast off the bone, and then Chef Steve made a real quick balsamic vinaigrette. So we have that, right? And then I scored it, and then we marked it on the grill, and then I finished it in the oven. So basically what I have here is turkey London broil. So, here's my mushrooms. Got some butter melting here. I'm going to make a mushroom sauce. I need a little bit of turkey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So sliced mushrooms ahead of time. Most times mushrooms or London broil is served with some type of sauce. So I'm just going to take, if you don't like mushrooms, you don't have to do this part. But I'm trying to do Thanksgiving with a twist. And so that's what makes it kind of twisted. So mushrooms, I'm going to saute them in with butter. The mushrooms, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll absorb the butter because they're kind of like a sponge, and that's what they're doing. My other product I have here that I want to show you is what I did with the dark meat. So I'm going to give you two different ways that I made the turkey. So I took the whole carcass, broke it down, and I oven smoked the dark meat, and then I grilled and roasted the white meat. Need a little bit more butter here. So basically, I'm sauteing my mushrooms off. My mushrooms are starting to kind of cool the butter, so I'm going to put a little bit of flour in, all right, just to make a roux. And everybody says, oh, that's hard. It actually isn't. It's just equal parts of butter and flour. I want to mix that up. So if it starts to get away from me, just pull it off the stove. But that butter and flour should mix together with your mushrooms.
We
And
have a question in the chat. Krista asked, can you explain the oven smoked process?
I will. Yep, absolutely. So, okay, very good. Thank you. So before I get to that, I just want to finish this stage right here. So I made my roux. What I put in there is some sherry wine. So that sherry wine goes in there and it's going to deglaze all the stuff off that pan. And then I'm going to add a little bit of turkey stock to make my sauce. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, you could use some of the stock from your oven smoke. Okay. So oven smoking. I'm going to pull this over to here so we can see it. So I need a white cutting board. So I took my thighs, my drumsticks, and I actually threw the wings in here too because there's not a lot of meat, but it adds a lot of flavor. And a little bit of liquid smoke, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of water, and then I covered it. And it's been in the oven for a couple hours. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull that out. And I don't think there's anything in the oven.
Mm-mm.
And what we do is take it off the bone. Okay. Turn my sauce down here because it's almost ready. All right. Even though I have gloves on and I have chef hands, it's still hot. So basically, pull that out. So for those that like dark meat, you can separate it this way. Now they sell boneless thigh roasts. Okay. You can pull it off the bone that way. And a lot of times, you know, the drumstick never gets eaten because although some people love it. All right. So we're going to serve that.
Another question, how do you get the turkey stock so rich? The person said mine often seems thin or without a lot of flavor.
So great question. So we start off, I took the carcass and I roasted it in the oven. Okay. And then I add some cold water to it, bring it to a boil, and I reduce it by half. And you got to remember, this is the stuff a lot of people would throw away. All right, but this is your saving. And they don't normally, maybe they do sell it in the grocery store, I just haven't seen it. But all the little quart boxes of chicken stock, beef stock, all those kind of things. Turkey stock seems to be something that goes pretty quick. They push chicken stock more than they push anything. So we're going to use just a little bit of this flavor here. So we have a little bit of smoke flavor in there. And then I'm going to cut this up to display it. So what this does is this gives you an avenue of, and we're going to bring it back to a boil, an avenue of dark meat prepared oven smoked. So it's kind of braised is what it is. And then we have white meat, or turkey meat, that we're going to slice. So you saw what the portion looked like for before it was cooked. Like I said, this is a small bird. And the idea too is we cooked this and we pulled it out of the oven. I don't know if you knew this, Chef Steve pulled it out and it's been resting back there for about 20 minutes, which is really, really important because if you pull it right out of the oven and you carve it right away, all your juice runs out. Okay. So you want to be able to let it come back to the muscle meat because this is a muscle. This is what it is. Now, you can do all kinds of things with this. You can serve it with the sauce. You can serve it on top of like a Caesar salad, if that's what you wanted to do. It's all kinds of ways to go. We're just going to put that on there and we're just going to fan it out a little bit. And basically what that is it's a turkey London broil. And it looks nice, okay? So we got dark meat, we got white meat, okay? Got our mashed potato casserole, we got bread stuffing. Now this stuffing isn't finished. So what you would do with this if you wanted to is you would bake it or you would use it as a cavity stuffing. And our sauce here is just about ready. It probably needs to thicken up a little bit more, so I'm gonna let it reduce. And I'm gonna ask Chef Steve if he can go get the pie.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll see how our pie came out. And I think I need a fresh knife.
I'll go get one.
Okay. So this is the finished product for our pie. I'm gonna pull this over. You can see what it looks like. It came out pretty nice. And it's got that homemade streusel to it. Chef Steve's going to get me a fresh knife because I don't want to use the same knife that I cut turkey with to cut my pie with. That's how things happen, you know. People get sick, everybody gets excited and in a hurry, and before you know it, something happens. So Chef Steve's going to get me a fresh knife.
Chef Tom, we have a question. Any prep secrets to save time or reduce stress for Thanksgiving or larger holiday meals?
Well, that's a great question. So you can, number one is make sure your turkey's thawed out. Okay. You buy a fresh turkey, you don't have to worry about that. If you're going to buy a frozen turkey, don't wait until the night before to say, oh my goodness, it's still as hard as a piece of rock. So you want to make sure you have enough time to do that. You can peel your potatoes. If you're going to make mashed potatoes, all right, and you like them peeled, you can peel them ahead of time and store them in a container just so they're underwater. If they're outside of the water, they start to oxidize. So you can do that. That's one thing that saves a lot of time. If you're going to make bread stuffing and you're going to make your own bread cubes, that's something you can do next week for the following week. All right, because once the moisture's out of them, they're good to go. All right, and you're saving time and you're using things up. Cranberry relish can be made Monday or Tuesday for Thursday. Actually, it's better the longer it sits. Thank you. So that's another idea. The breadcrumb stuffing for the topping for if you choose to do the casserole like this is kind of a time saver because you kind of got everything out on the table and it's still warm, which is ideal. All right. Okay. Chef, can you get me something to put this in?
Yes.
So Chef Steve's going to run and get a container for our sauce. I'm going to cut the pie. All right. Ideally, we should let this pie cool, but we only have an hour. So we're going to take a chance and see how it comes out and hope that it comes out all right. But if it doesn't, I'll blame it on the fact that we only had an hour. That's because if your pie is cool and it sits overnight, yeah, it's going to be kind of hard to get out of there. It's all right. We'll get it out of there. This is when I needed a deep freeze. Okay. Well, Like I said, if it was nice and cold, you would have a nicer presentation. But what we're gonna do there is, so we have our streusel. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of caramel sauce on top. And you could serve it with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream, whatever you like. Aha, look at that. We did it. All right, so Chef Steve's gonna get a container for our sauce so you can see it. And once you see this, you're gonna see too, another thing is turkey gravy is not yellow, okay? A lot of times, that's the kind of the depiction is turkey gravy is yellow. Actually, real turkey gravy should have kind of a light brown color. All right, so and I don't like my sauce real thick. So we're gonna kind of pull some mushrooms in here. And this is gonna be our sherry mushroom sauce for our turkey London broil. Now, real quick, leftovers. Okay. The dark meat is awesome for turkey barbecue. This is one of the reasons I have this stuff here. So once you, that is if you have leftovers. But if you have leftovers and you want to, and you pull your meat off the bones, because there's still some bones in here, because it's just easier that way. But reheat it with some of the juice from your oven braising, and then add some barbecue sauce and make a pulled turkey barbecue. It's actually what we do here at the restaurant.
Yep.
And people love it. All right. And we actually use a boneless dark meat roast. And everybody comes through and goes, "I'll take the pork." And we go, "It's not pork, it's turkey." Really? Yes. And then all of a sudden they feel like they're eating healthier because pork's known to be very fatty. So any other questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat now.
Very much so.
And thank you again, Chef Tom and Chef Steve. That was an awesome presentation.
Oh, we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you missed something on the video or you didn't get a chance to see the video, if you have a Thanksgiving question, please feel free to email me at tjlong@hack.edu. And if I can answer your question, I absolutely will. It always seems to be around this time of the year that there's a lot of family stress of pulling off a whole meal together. And like I said, you can get your prep ready in different stages. And, you know, the hardest thing is, of course, making sure the turkey's done. All right. And then pulling together all the sides. So, you know, work with what you can work with. So, all right.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And just to everybody who joined us, thank you again. We really appreciate you coming here today. And just to let you know, in honor of Thanksgiving Day, we're not going to be doing the Cooking with Chef Tom on that Thursday. So no event that day. And we hope that you can just enjoy your time with your family and just try those recipes that Chef Tom has been sharing, and be on the lookout for a cookbook coming to a bookstore near you. And feel free to check out that calendar. I can put it in the chat for more student involvement events that are coming up. And like Chef Tom said, if you have any recipes that you'd like to see or ones that you'd like to hear more about, make sure that you email him. So thank you again, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And special shout out to the IT department for bringing quality and excellence. Excellent job today. So thank you. Shout out to the IT department. Thank you, Chef Tom. Thank you, Chef Steve. Job well done. Excellence.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.